to wait, if it's okay with the council. We did the invocation at the beginning of the public hearing, and that will serve for the public hearing and the regular council meeting that's scheduled after that. We have some information from our fire chief, and if you would, Chief Cotton, if you come up to the podium, we have some discussion about how we might handle some dilapidated properties, and really just kind of share that with us and your thoughts. And this is a work session just for not to vote on anything, but just to inform us of what might be some opportunities.
This, I'm expecting George to be here also, so we can kind of communicate back and forth with you guys. But anyway, basically what we've come to realize is there are some ways that the fire department can assist in helping get rid of some of these buildings. But with that being said, they're going to have to go through some types of testing, and there's going to be some constituencies against the way that we actually operate. So if there's any type of asbestos siding or anything like that, automatically we're not going to get involved with it. Right? Some of these older wood structures that don't appear to have asbestos, there's going to be some products inside of there that we're going to have to test. And what we need to do as a city is figure out, are we going to just charge, like, if we can do this before the city takes over, is what I guess I'm trying to say. Right now, we've declared these properties a nuisance. They got a certain amount of time to work on those properties. Before the owner of the property has to just either sell or the property gets taken over, or however we're going to do that process, then we need to know if we're going to be able to help these people beforehand and help them get rid of the property. But George and I was also talking about there's a demolition agreement that they're going to have to clean up all of the foundation repair and all that stuff after we get through the armor. So we just kind of I just want to sit down tonight and sort of come up with how it's going to flow. So I'm not having people come up to the station, hey chief, you're going to burn my house, hey chief, what can you do? I kind of want to be able to answer those questions, and I don't want me and George to have to go back and forth. Well, George said this, chief said this, back and forth, you know what I'm saying? So I guess this George has that demolition thing. He talked to me about it today. I kind of sound like I don't know what we're talking about with the demolition thing because I didn't know about it until this morning. But what's some ideas on how this is going to take place? I guess.
I'm just going to give you my thought with this. Is just all discussion. It's all new to us and everything like that. We're making progress declaring properties, a nuisance, and identifying these properties. Now, I don't want to say something that I don't know, but it seems as though there are going to be multiple properties that someone has moved away, family members can't take care of, no one's probably going to do anything, and it's going to be, at some point, would be taken over by the city or through a process that we take care of. Now, we talked about, I believe, George, any expense that y'all might have or some work that y'all might do and things like that. We've talked about adding that to property tax. So that would be one form of recovering some money. We're looking at the possibility of there may be some structures that once we identify what the contents of that house are made of, or property, it may be able to burn. Or we can get it to a point that it may be able to burn, or the landowner may be able to get it to that part, or it may wind up being George. Our code enforcement and George, we're just throwing out everything on the table tonight, have talked about what if we had some type of excavator that the city purchases that we're able to utilize some to tear down some properties. Instead of, hiring it out. Is that correct, George?
That's correct.
You know, that if we're talking about maybe 50 properties that have been identified at this point, and that's fair to say that, that's not the end of the list. There's more. So I think part of the work session is that, are there gonna be multiple ways that we can approach it? We would like for the property owner to take care of it. But there's gonna be cases where the property owner is not able to. And Officer Arwood and George are saying that there may be situations where we just need to tear it down. And then there may be some situations that we could burn it and then take our equipment and clean it up, which would reduce the cost. And that's kind of where we're getting to tonight. If we were able to identify it and burn it, and then George, or we give the code enforcement and give George and them the excavator, whatever might be needed to clean up the property, then that would be a less cost for everyone involved. Is that kind of what you mentioned at one time?
Yes, sir.
Two, and you have identified that that's been done some in the valley, or someone has,
Yes, sir. I guess Valley Internet.
that they're cleaning up some of the properties themselves, but they have purchased equipment to do it.
Yes.
So if we were going to go out and spend X number of dollars, and we could purchase the equipment for the same thing that we might spend, then we would have a piece of equipment that we could utilize, not just for that, but for multiple uses in the city.
That's right.
Now, back to where we started.
Yes, sir.
Between the two of y'all, what type of test, what would be some of the things that we would have to identify that would get us to a point to allow us to burn the property?
That's gonna be more on George. He's talking about abatements.
Right.
For asbestos.
Just talk, it's
Okay.
an open discussion.
All right, let me elaborate on how our current system works. And, our demolition permits. It started out just like they filling out a building application. And we go from that. That's ordinance number 373, which city adopted back in 1997 for demolition. And they adopted the Southern Building Code for standards for demolition. And that's what we give out in this packet. And they should follow these. Based on that, certain little rules that they follow, like, all the utilities moved off. This is an inspection part. That normally goes, the cost of that goes from about $15 to $30, depending on how much we go out. In cooperation with what the fire department trying to do, I think we can go out and identify certain things that would allow us to burn some of them that you were speaking on. Also, once they sign up with this also gives a time limit, standard practice, and how the lot should look, and all this. So normally we give them this, and even
This is if the property owner wants to do the demolition.
right, they come up and we have went back and dug up the standards and what we adopted. When they come up and ask or call, how can they get that done? But now, if some of these properties can be identified to burn, we still want them to tag, get this, because this gives us the opportunity to go out and do an initial inspection and a final inspection to make sure the lot. It kind of give us some little guidelines instead of us kind of like just burning and leaving it, and we kind of depending on them. Because right now we cleaned up one got burned and foundation and stuff there, so we kind of cleaning it up now based on the nuisance ordinance. So we want to try to get that clean, but to follow the procedure that they need to get this packet, get a demolition permit, then that gets kind of like everybody involved, and then we can make sure this process goes on out. And we'll kind of like initially go out and identify it. If certain things got to be abated off of it, we can kind of give them a nod, say yay or nay.
So, can I get a copy of that?
Sure. Sure.
Do you test?
I was intending to give
At what
everybody.
point do you test for asbestos?
Well, normally the testing is kind of like a bill and what we call suspect. If you think something that you can't quite identify, it being asbestos, then you kind of do a test on that. But rule of thumb is just 2 or 3 different things, the history of the testing that you can pretty much tell, if it's asbestos or your siding, your shingles, maybe some CT tiles in the house. We have a big, spec book on what materials and what year they were made that kind of mirror with how old a house is. You can pretty much tell what was the spec, was the vessels at that time. So some visual inspection and some testing might have to be done that can get it to that point. But I wouldn't say openly all of them will fall in that category. If some initially getting this permit, we go out and kind of survey the situation and then kind of make a judgment there. But we think some of them can be.
And I'm trying to summarize just everything. But the way the process is set up is when you identify the property, you tag the property, you give them the information that the city is going to pursue it as a nuisance or whatever the property might be. What we would like is that individual to take on the responsibility that you see action taking place in that 30-day, in that 60-day, as you report the properties like you did last week, where there's some action taking place and then there's some properties where no one's doing anything. This is kind of leading up to the part of where when no action is taken at all, we can still assist them.
Right.
But what we believe is that the majority of the property, there's probably not going to be any action taken
I would say.
in the time period. If history holds, they can change around, we can have a meeting. I think we had about 10 properties last week and, you know, we declared maybe about 8 of them a nuisance and gave 2 of them a couple of months extension or something to see if they could do something. But once we've cleared all of that and given them every opportunity, and the city's going to do something, it could be a combination between the fire department. The most cost-effective way for the city is if we burned it and if y'all cleaned it up.
Right.
That would be less structure to take down.
Right.
So that's where we would be with the 2 departments working together.
And one thing, Mayor, is I kind of been concerned, once we burn a house, and we've tested and burned that house, the next person's gonna come along and say, well, why can't you burn mine? And that's kind of why I want to come here tonight and sort of express our concerns ahead of time.
Right.
There's gonna be some power lines that's gonna be too close. There's gonna be other structures that's gonna be too close, that we can't take a chance on burning this house without damaging this house
Right.
next
The
door.
risk involved with
Yes,
this.
and those are the reasons why they're gonna be declined. It's not because we're picking and choosing what we assist with, it's just certain things keep us from doing what we're gonna do, or what we wanna do. And so, I just wanted to go ahead and address that tonight, and let everybody know that we can't burn every single one.
Right.
So, that's just what it's gonna be. We will definitely help any way we can, but we can't do all of it.
And we shouldn't be doing them all.
No, we shouldn't.
I say buy the equipment we need to tear them down. We're gonna declare them a nuisance. They've been a nuisance for 10, 15, 20, some, 30 years. And, tear them down. I mean, let's find the money in the budget and buy what George and code enforcement needs. Buy that piece of equipment, and once they know we got that, they see us start tearing down these houses. I mean, that get people attention. I mean, we've been talking about it for a long time, trying to take some action.
All right, so Tim, do you know exactly the equipment that we need to do this?
Yeah, we've been kind of doing some research as far as not a new piece of equipment, but one we can be able to carry around ourselves with the assistance of the light department, because they have a derrick truck big enough and a trailer. Yeah, I've been kind of searching around and talking, and we trying to figure out a number before we come up here and kind of.
Just check with Valley on that piece that they have. It's been a couple of years now, but they had a piece at one time for sale.
I'll let you check with the clerk on that one.
Do you think it's possible maybe by the next meeting that you guys could get together and, perhaps put something together and let us look at it and see what all it would take
Sure.
to do the job if we decide to go that route?
Yeah.
And that way we'll have an idea what the expenses are.
Currently, we don't think we'll need that much equipment, and based on the estimate that we got, I think about 4 years ago that I passed on to them, cost effective, it would be, good for us to purchase a piece of equipment because it was averaging $4,500. I don't want to throw them numbers out, but
Just to tear down the house.
per house, yeah.
And plus we can have it for another use.
Right, yeah.
It was,
And with the cost, no matter what the cost is, number one is to clear up, clean up, and everything like that. But the charges of the cleanup will be put back in some manner with the property tax or whatever means that we go with. Would that be correct, Mr. Clark?
File a lien on the property.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I'm just saying, some of our initial costs of the equipment, we can recover. It might be a few years period of time, but then what we charge and what we get back on the liens and things like that could definitely come close to offsetting the equipment. Okay?
based on our initial looking at what we normally go up and clean them up, and it's cost effective, it will be for us to tear them down based, for the owner, to be honest with you, because it would be pretty high if it went other ways. Burning and movable of foundation and stuff would be great for that purpose. We probably could do more of them if we did it like this. And based on the history of the other cities, they able to do more per year by them doing it, based on the bid process, because each house, somebody making profit off of it. They just about could tear down two or more, to call in and investigate those situations. So it would help us two ways. We would have something for us to use in installation of pipes and grading and all this kind of stuff as well. But we could have that number for you, Councilman Thomas, by next meeting.
And we would be in control almost of the entire process.
Right.
I mean, instead of a third party, or, dealing with, like that. But, I think it's a good idea. I'm just speaking on myself, but it's what I'm hearing from the council, is we definitely look at purchasing it. And the two of y'all working together like y'all are doing, and then, of course, there may be situations where we're making sure about the electricity getting cut off, the water getting cut off,
That's part of this.
in this ordinance that you're talking about.
Right.
I believe you said that was
Ordinance 373.
373.
And that would be number one thing, if we could get everybody to get that demo permit like they normally been doing, I think all of the properties would go from one step all the way to the other, because it's inspection at the beginning, at the end, and you make sure gas line, sewer line, water line, and all this is cut off. Because a lot of times they'll go in, they'll hit a gas line when they don't, they go in, but we try to make sure they get this, and it's not that expensive, like $15, $20. To make
It
sure
would be
the
nice,
process is
Chief, not trying to complicate it, but just to have that guideline of reasons why you may not be able to burn, and then we would all have it, and, you could, we could, it'd be something that we could adopt as a council, that we would all be in agreement as to why we're able to do it and why we're not able to do so.
That was one thing he and I spoke, George and I spoke about also, was these properties have already been photographed. So you're already gonna be able to see
Yeah.
the side and the on it, the type of shingles that's on it, and also the you'll be able to see 9 times out of 10 the power lines are above it, they're too close to the proximity of it. So, those things are gonna be self-explanatory by just looking at the pictures. But I see what you're saying as far as having those things written down. Well,
Just for the general public who might come up and say, well, you burned this, I got this one, can you do this one?
yes.
And we could also put it in paper.
So I'll come up with some of those guidelines for you, and, you want me to just have those to Lewis, and then put those in the paper?
I can do that and we'll actually get in the meeting, but I think it would be a good idea to put it in the paper.
of a sudden, we don't really have enough people, or enough manpower, or, you know, or okay, now we're doing all of this, so then this department head can't do this, what they're normally supposed to do, you know, one of the duties. So I hate to bring it up like that. I was waiting for George to bring it up, and didn't look like he was going to. So, so I just figured we might as well just at least discuss it tonight, because I know where it's headed.
Right.
And there's no need to not bring it up tonight, and then a month or two from now, George is in my office about, oh man, I mean, yeah, right.
So we just have to understand, once they start that process, that they're gonna be tied up, and they can't leave it and just go do something that we need at this moment. We're just gonna have to be patient and understand. That's what patience comes.
Now, we're gonna have a charge for a particular cleanup. I mean, we would,
I think it's under that order, Mr. Mayor.
what I was getting at is whatever dollar amount of our equipment and labor that we put in is at least a minimum amount that we would want to recover by placing that amount on the lien, or what was our cost to clean up the property.
Yeah, I think that's what we had said once before. We would put a dollar amount for us cleaning the property, because it would be $100 an hour, right?
Right.
That's the current ordinance.
Yeah,
That's what-
$100 an hour plus
Right.
$100 administrative.
right, and we would put that amount on the property, on
Now,
the lien.
now currently what we doing, like,
Right.
we kind of keep up
Well,
with,
that's almost like a break even.
we kind of keep up with the dumping fee as well. Like, I don't know what that should have been kind of incorporated, but a lot of times,
Yeah.
like, we clean up, we also hold that dump ticket and
Okay.
send
It
it
should
to
be
our,
added on
to
there
our
too.
attorney to kind of sift out.
And not answering it right now, but I mean, just to keep all of those,
Yeah.
our equipment costs, our labor costs, if that has to be modified any, you know, some of the things that we've talked about in the past, where we have gone out, am I correct, I'm just asking, we cut grass or just cleaned up the property, and we charge for that. But then when you start having a piece of equipment, you know, the charges that are involved in a piece of equipment and upkeep could be a little bit more than just a normal routine cleaning up of grass, when we're actually getting into the structure. And there's more to haul off, and a heavier weight probably.
Right.
The concrete, the bricks, the mortar and things like that. So keep that amount in if that would need to be adjusted.
Okay, we'll back.
Mayor, since that came up, I'd like an opportunity to address that. One thing Lewis pointed out, that the ordinance doesn't necessarily allow tipping fees as far as the dump. And I think when the ordinance was written in the past, we still had a city dump. So things are a little different than they were. The other thing is, even though you put a lien on the property, there is a legal process that must follow to enforce that lien within 6 months of it being due. It says it can be enforced in the same manner as materials liens. I previously prepared the documents it takes to get that lien filed, but to enforce that lien and to actually recover your money, you have to follow through on the legal process, which of course those fees would also be assessed against the property. And they, you know, if you do a bunch of them, it'll be a lot cheaper than if you do one every now and then. Because, you know, once you get your forms, you can start spitting them out and do it with the administrative time instead of having me involved in that kind of thing. So, but it is important, and the council need to recognize the ramifications of that, because sometimes people can get a little upset when the lawsuit comes. But, you know, the city of Allen and that's been doing it for years. It's not uncommon. That's what needs to be done, because to enforce that lien is when you can actually follow through the process, execute it, have the sheriff sell it, and then that gets it back on the market, and get some of our money recovered. Maybe all, maybe not. I just wanted to point that out, that is additional cost that will come into play to actually follow this whole procedure out to the end.
Good point. And it's like I said, I just think when we started getting into property and structure, our costs definitely could go up with the equipment maintaining the equipment and the disposal versus just normal grass cutting, shrubbery, weeds.
Yeah, and it may be that, yeah, I mean, the Trico is much more expensive, you get $800 to get it there, you know, you gotta find somebody to actually run it, it's different, go if we buy one. I think the other thing is we definitely need to revisit that hourly rate, because if you got 5 guys on site, $100 an hour ain't enough. And if you've got a piece of heavy equipment that costs you $50, $60 an hour to run, that ain't enough either, so it really needs to be revisited, in my opinion.
And we don't have to mirror it, but if we have a couple of cities that are doing it, George, I know y'all know people down there, also and things like that. Just may pick them a little bit just to kind of see what or how they're charging and if it's working for them, we'll make it work for us.
And bidding it out is another option. If you get several people competing for it, the prices may change.
And we were talking about the possibility before you came of actually doing it ourselves. Just like with a piece of equipment. Okay?
And I know, I didn't mean to bug you on all that.
Well, we have the 3 that have come up to the podium. Does any council member have any question of George, Chief, Mr. Wood? They're the 3 primary ones that have brought this to our attention.
I just got one quick question, Attorney. In the past, we have went through the whole process as far as the demolition process, and it has been voted on and approved. Why do we have to go through the whole process again? Say that property owner name, everything's still in the same name and everything, we gotta send it through the same process again to get it approved. Why do we have to do that? I mean, over several years ago, we had some of the same one we're running into now. We have something through the process, and the only thing that was left to be done was to go through it.
Well, I know some of those had, some of them actually had asbestos issues, and hopefully we're not rerunning those. Some of the others were put off at councilman's request, and the owners may have had representations made to them that those employees are no longer here, the councilmen are no longer here. And I sure would hate to get in a situation where you told me you weren't gonna tear it down, and you tear it down under that old authority. You know, when somebody said something different than what we did, it just would be the better part of wisdom to follow the whole procedure and do it over again. It's really not. I think it would safeguard the city and make us a little more protected from misstatements or statements that were made in the past, while that order has been outstanding and not actually been carried out. I mean, the point you have is a very valid one, but if it was a much more expensive, much more difficult procedure, I might say, you know, you might want to take that risk, but it's just too easy to do it again and avoid the whole problem.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And we get a chance to cut the attorney off. Do I have a motion to adjourn the work session?
I make a motion to adjourn the work session.
Second.
Motion to second to adjourn the work session. All in favor say aye. The work session is now adjourned. Don't go any further because we've got 6 o'clock right now. Right before we get started, it's okay with the council, I'm going to excuse Chief and George. The governor's declared a state of emergency tomorrow. There's a few things that they may need to be available tomorrow with weather conditions and into tomorrow night. But if y'all would like to go at this time, then we're going to go with Officer Harwood as we move into our hearing part. So, with that being said, we'll now call to order the public hearing that has been scheduled for Monday, January 28th. At this time, we'll go ahead and do an invocation, and this will serve for our regular council meeting also. If you don't mind, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come now, first of all, to say thank you. Lord, we thank you for life, thank you for health, thank you for strength. Lord, we thank you for life being as well as it is. And now we come to Heavenly Father as we prepare to conduct the city's business. We pray now for that you'll come in and you'll just move in all of our hearts. and help everything that is done, help it to be pleasing in your sight. And we pray now for the citizens of LaFayette. We pray for our local government. And Lord, we ask that you will just continue to lead us in the direction that you would have us to go. Thank you for what you've already done. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for what you will do. And then, dear Heavenly Father, when all has been said and done, we will be so careful to give you all the praise and all the glory. For it is in the mighty name of Jesus we do pray. Amen.
Amen. And I'd like to do one other thing, since we've got some of our younger, if you would, I'd like for all of you to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We thank you. So we'll ask at this time if Officer Arnwood would come up with our attorney, and we'll now take a look at the properties that have been identified. Right before we do that, we're just going to make it official with our roll call.
Councilmember McCurdy? Here. Councilmember Thomas? Here. Councilmember Ellis? Here. Councilmember Williams?
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here. If y'all will, we turn it over to y'all at this time.
All right, I'll just make a brief point to the council. As far as, unless someone has questions about the formalities, I've reviewed the packet that Officer Arwood has put together, and there's no real question about whether the notices were properly sent and such as that, and I don't see much reason to go into those unless y'all have some particular questions about them. But I will start on parcel number 12-613-2035, Charles and Vicki Blanton, property located Second Avenue Northeast. Officer Arwood, I noticed that the card was signed for on this particular property.
That's correct.
And do you have some pictures you might want to publish?
I do. I have two that I took today. It's basically just 4 block walls with no roof. Since I tagged the property, the trees around that property have been cut down. Outside of that, nothing else has been done as far as the structure of the building.
Have you heard from Chuck?
I talked to him briefly in passing. I know he was working at the courthouse trying to complete some type of deadline. I don't know if that's had any reason why he was unable to get over there, but outside of that, no.
The work that was done was not sufficient to bring it into compliance with the ordinance.
I would leave that up to the council, but I feel, in my opinion, there's nothing really done to the structure itself. It wasn't a weed and grass ordinance, it was a dilapidated structure, when I say building ordinance, and that's the only thing done to it was weeds and grass or trees.
All right, any questions from the council? All right, we'll move on to the next one, which is, for brevity's sake, we'll go with parcel 2, Annette Busby. There's a slight misspelling on your agenda. That is supposed to be Annette Busby. That's the assessment. The property is located at 56 6th Avenue Northwest. And I saw that you also received a signed card back from this one.
That's correct.
Do you have some pictures you'd like?
I do. These are also from today. Nothing's changed with this home as well. That house has some fire damage. Not sure when it caught on fire, but you can see the holes in the roof. I don't know if the fire department did that or if it's actually burnt through.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you sitting back there. Well, let's do it off the order and we'll follow through with that.
So it's just really the roof?
Yeah, and burn damage on the inside, or from the inside. I'm not sure exactly what's burned on the inside because you can't, the door's locked.
Right.
what, it's just the roof that brought it to your attention with the holes in the roof?
Correct. There's one in the front and the back.
And those are pretty apparent in the picture.
That's correct.
Does anybody on the council have any questions for Officer Allwood about this property, other than Ms. Williams, or some more of Ms. Williams' testimony?
The only thing is just pretty much the roof and, it's just some burn damage.
That's correct.
it.
So if she comes up with the roof, repaired, then I guess the inside really is not our business as long as it's not on the outside.
Yeah, I can't see any of the inside of it,
Right.
so I don't know what the structure's like on the inside. I just know it was burnt in the past.
Right.
How long has it been burnt?
Let me follow, if you don't mind, let me follow up on Ms. Williams' question just then. Yeah, the inside's not any of our concern unless we're gonna get the power cut on, and then at that point,
Right,
we need to
yeah,
ensure
I
that
understand that because,
it's sound.
compared to this one, this look really good.
Look at that. I did, I noticed it looked very good.
Hey,
Holes in the roof are a problem. but-
Yeah, I understand that, but I just wanna make it clear with you, because I know where you're trying to go. But this, look real good.
I wasn't trying to go anywhere. I wanna make sure that
All right.
it's like it's.
Just let you know, I got you.
I'm ready, go on, go on. All right, yeah, Mr. Ellis, I think asked if you knew how long it'd been burned, I think you said you did not.
I do not know.
Okay, Chief Cotton has left, so. Maybe we can ask Ms. President.
What was the question?
How long had it been since it burned?
Oh, okay.
It's been a while that it has been burned, and, was gonna get it fixed then, but some other stuff came up, but, I'm willing to fix it if you all could give me a little bit more time due to the cold weather and income and all that, but, I had a few more months, then I would get it back to par, if not, then just go ahead and take it.
Yeah, that's not the 60-day request we have in the back of the packet. Was 60 days you think be enough? That's what ordinarily, the last few that we've done, we grant 60 days to review it.
Okay.
That's what we gave the last two people because they asked for it. So, if she need 90 days, then we don't need to not do it.
I can't predict what the weather may be for anyone to get out there and work on it, so depending on the weather itself, well, when
We
the
got to set
actually
a
start,
time
you know,
limit.
yeah.
I mean, we just-
So I'll say 90 days at most.
We're here, Ms. Williams, just to get the facts, so. Just
So
trying to find, I'm just here to get the facts at
Right.
this point, so we're trying to figure out what she requests, so
Right.
the council consider it later. Ms. Busby, is there anything else that you would like to share with the council? All right, if there are no more questions?
Thank you.
We have another parcel too, this was Mineola Hill and Charlie Hill, and this property is at 629 Third Avenue Southeast.
That's correct.
That one was signed for as well?
It was not. That was returned back to me. I did see Charlie Hill in passing and let him know that he had a notice on it. He's aware that the house, had been tagged. It's up in the hilltop area. It too has some fire damage. I'm not sure the extent of the fire damage on the inside. I think you can see it on one of the side rooms. But I think without the fire damage, it would probably still be, dilapidated.
Let me see that one this week.
Okay.
Appears like the windows are busted out in the rear in the lean-to part.
That's correct. There's a junk car, there's a couple of junk cars and some junk laying around the backside of it as well. But it's probably, just been neglected for, I guess it's at burn, I'm assuming.
Mr. Hill, say anything, when you let him know that you tagged it, did he have any suggestions?
No, he didn't really say much to me about it. He didn't really comment on it very much. He just said he lived somewhere else now.
Any of the council have questions for Officer Harwood on this property? All right, the next one is parcel 1301, Nanny Mae Holiday, which is one of those I think has been up here before, 611 2nd Avenue Southwest. Was that one signed for?
It was returning the claim.
Okay, you posted it?
Yes, I did.
All right, and you have pictures you'd like to publish?
Yes, these are also as of today. These pictures were taken today. One was a large picture and the other one's a bit smaller.
What were the primary things you saw wrong with that?
Part of the tin flipped up on the roof. You got the back side of it, I think the door's missing on it. And just, if you look inside, you can see that the rafters and stuff are rotten, where the water's been coming in. And some of the ceiling joists and stuff, because you can actually see inside of this one.
Truly hazard if you were to go inside.
Yes.
Any questions from the council? All right, parcel number 4.000, Willie Eva Jackson, Geneva Webb. Property is located 223 2nd Avenue Northeast. And you did receive a signed card on this one.
Yes.
You have some pictures of
I
that?
do. These are also taken today.
Attorney,
Yes, ma'am.
she said that she wasn't able to attend tonight, but she would have help pulling down next week.
And primary thing that brought this house to your attention, or lean-to in the back falling in?
The lean-to falling in, the yard was actually grown up at the time, but it was during the summer when I initially saw it. And I knew no one had lived in it for quite a while. I could see the tin, flopped up on top of it as well.
Parcel 24.000 Jackson Hills / Sharon Howell, property located at 820 MLK Drive. That was a little different. Did you receive a signed card on
I
that?
did.
You did sign it.
It's not signed. But I returned, the card was returned back to me by the post office, but there's no signature.
And did you post the property?
I did. I took a picture of it today. I only got one picture of it. It's the very last house on MLK on the left. Kind of sets up a little hill. It's the same way now. Back about a month and a half ago, after I put a notice on it for the first time, I noticed that looked like somebody may have been using it to store a lot of household furniture and stuff in it. Now somebody has come and cleaned out the inside. Some of the debris they put by the road in the city hauled off, and some of it, I guess they took it with them. I don't know if they had plans on tearing the house down. I haven't spoken to anyone, but they did take a lot of the contents out from the inside of the house.
Is it, and what brought that house to your attention, the specific thing?
Same thing, growing up, I could see the front porch had some issues with it, with the soffit and the subfascia rotted on it, the tin flopped up, and I think one side of the house, some of the bricks has fallen and just pretty bad shape.
Anybody on the council have a question? Mr. Arwood? Let's just go ahead and discuss the next two together since they're next door to each other. Parcel 26 and 27, TJ Penny per Moore, property on First Avenue Southeast. There's no numbers, but I believe they're the ones right across from the back side of the gym. You received a signed card back on that?
I did on those two.
And he also received a request for 60 days to give him.
He's here tonight.
Oh, okay. I thought Minnie was the one that sent the request, so I didn't think that was Minnie.
That's my sister. She lives in Anderson.
You just want a second and let him finish.
I just wanna know what he found.
Okay. Well, we fixing to get to that. If you wanna go ahead and publish the pictures to the, council.
Sure.
And tell them what you did find.
I walked inside of these today because this particular house, the door is open. I can see where, I don't know if it's students from the high school, but people have been going inside. I can see bottles and stuff on the inside of the house. Several of the windshield, or the windows are busted out. Like I said, the doors are not locked on it. Some of the trees and brush are growing in through the window of the house. That's one property. This is the second one. It's overgrown. That's what caught my eye. Plus it being straight across from the high school. There's an old barn in the back of that one that's fallen through. It's got some issues with the soffit and the subfascia as well, rotting. Roof's in bad shape, but it's probably not taking in any rainwater, but it's in bad shape. The reason that property was tagged is, one of the main reasons is it's just right across the road from the school. I just felt like it could be a danger to the students or anybody else, in that area. But easily pull a child up into the house that's not being attended to and taken care of.
I'm just for matter of clarification, the first property you showed, is that the one with the blue tint, blue metal roof?
The roof on that house is pretty good. It's actually a metal roof. But it's not secured.
So it's just not secured and the kid can go, or
Yeah,
people
the porches are rotten. I took some more pictures. I didn't want to bring a bunch of pictures in here. I may actually have some in here, but the porch is rotting on there as well. And it's actually about to fall through. One of the joists is completely broken on it.
The roof on the main part of the house is fine, the porch has got problems.
Yeah, here's the side. Here's one side of that one with the windows out.
Okay. Yeah,
This is the back side of the
I'll
house
get those for you.
with the blue roof.
Did you go by and see the day?
Those were actually taken when I tagged the house. Those aren't current.
Ms. Williams, I'm going to show those to Mr.
You want all of them? Okay.
These are pictures that they saw.
And these are when I tagged it a little bit earlier in the fall. You can see where it's grown up. Kind of stands out to you where you have to. You can see some of the damage up on the roof here, and that's the old structure in the backyard that's grown up as well.
That's the house on the corner, or closest to the corner, isn't it? The yellow one,
Right.
That's correct.
the one on the blue roof's one further.
Was this more of a few months ago?
Yes, those are when I actually put the notice on the house. I think those are in October.
On this house right here? These are not the same house.
Same house, that's the back of the house, that's the front of the house. That's the front from the highway, that's in the backyard of the house.
With a different roof?
Same house, just different, it just looks different colors, just
Oh.
because of the sun, but yes, that's the same house.
Oh, okay.
That one has the blue metal roof on it.
That's right. One has a blue metal roof, one has the shingles.
I know y'all. See, this is what I was talking about. See, right there. Right. I see that, that just look, different from, yeah. You need these?
Is there anything the council would like to ask Officer Arwood? Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to ask Officer Arwood?
You tagged it for being overgrown, this yellow one when you first saw it, and went in the back. And a tree fell, that's what that is right there, which we can get fixed. We can get the yard cleaned up too.
Yeah, I didn't tag it for overgrown,
What you tagged it for?
for the unsafe structure.
Just because of that right there?
Not because just of that, just,
Well, it's what it is.
on the front right here, you can see that the subfascia right here is rotting, these posts right here, rotting, the paint's chipping off, it's just an eyesore. You got vines growing through the house here.
Okay, it's such an eyesore, but see, that ain't nothing but a fascia board right there.
You
That's
can
all.
still bring it up to
I'm
standard.
talking about, that's just a fascia board, and these two by four posts right there, a 4x post would bring that up in the yard. And I can close it in, but right now it'd be a strain, cause my sister talked to Mr. Green about it, and it's a strain to come up with between $5,000 and $10,000 to have the house torn down. Now, we can do what we can to get them up today, cause my sister's on a fixed income, I'm on a fixed income, we can get the yard cleaner, I can close off the windows and the door, I can fix it where it won't be unsafe, but tearing it down is what we like to do, but we don't have the money to do it. And I live in Lynette, the city of Lynette, they work with people on dilapidated house. The city would tear your house down for nothing, haul it out, clean up the property, level it up, and don't charge you one dime just to get rid of the house itself. And see, here in LaFayette, they have no one with the equipment or doing the job or tearing down the house.
We're working on that now, Mr. Moore. We're taking steps to get all that done now, so.
But
I'm
how
sure
much of
Lynette,
an
if they
extension?
tear it down, I think they are putting lien on those properties, they're not just tearing them down. for the
No
sake of-
lien, no lien. You can check with Officer Teddy Marshall, because he's the one in charge of doing it. They're not putting no lien. They're just tearing them down to get rid of. No lien whatsoever.
Okay, that's Lynette. I
You
understand what
can
you're saying.
check with it, you know, but I can clean it up the yard, I can close in the window, board them up and the door, fix whatever gonna falling off. But $10,000 is a lot of money to get a house torn down. Did she get an extension on the cleaning up? Cause I know she said she was gonna write a letter and ask for one.
Let me see if I can explain how we've done that the last meeting and how we're planning on doing it in the future. Council may change that when they get around to it. But with the request for an extension, what we have done is table the motion for 60 days and bring it back up to see what's happened. To see, see if these things have actually happened. And if they have, or there's progress and there needs to be some more time, it can be considered to be tabled again. But that's the easiest way. We'll be able to keep up with it and be able to work with people on that. It's just sort of a solution we came up with last time we were here. And it'll be up to the council to make that decision in the actual meeting. They won't make it right now. Now they're just trying to gather the information they need to make the decision.
And I would just like to add that she actually did send a letter in, and send the council back.
And y'all too, Miss Penny and Miss TJ have been deceased for quite
Yeah.
some time. So y'all are children of
Yeah.
Miss TJ and Miss Penny. All right, is there anything else that you'd like to?
I
Thank
think
you,
it's
Mr. Brown.
clean up before you can come back by and
There you go. That's the aim. The aim is to make them safe, not tear them down necessarily unless they need it. Next one's parcel 14.000 by Lee Phillips on 6th Avenue Northwest. Did you get a card on that one?
Yes, right.
Yeah, what brought that one to your attention?
It was completely gutted, no windows or doors. This is actually a gentleman who has taken every proper step as of so far, and he's actually got the house on the ground with a dumpster out there, and he's loading it up now. But this is one that I served also back, I think, in October. To my knowledge, George is here. Has he gotten with you with everything he needed to do as well?
That's correct.
Yeah, I think as of right now, he's in compliance with everything. The house is on the ground and it's being loaded into a dumpster, so.
far enough along that the council needs to consider this one today, or do you think that, that he's done enough of what needs to be done so that they won't even have to consider this one, in your opinion?
I mean, I think he's gonna get it completely gone at some point. And that's something that George talked to him about when he got the packet from the Southern Home Builders. You can't just tear it down, let it sit on the ground for 6 months.
Right.
But as of right now, I think he's done a good enough job and far enough along to probably not even consider it right now.
Has there been any progress on putting any of the house in the ground in the dumpster?
Yeah, I'd say probably a quarter of it at least is inside the dumpster.
All right.
Yeah.
Any questions for Officer Arwood or Mr. Green?
And that is being done by hand, so he is out there. I mean, he's out there working hard.
Also, 22 Matty Washington, Charleston Kittrell, property on MLK Drive, and didn't have a house number.
It did not. These are the pictures from today there.
That card came back saying on this picture, didn't it?
It did come back signed. Let me see who signed that.
Oh, Mr. Kittrell.
I'm not sure the first name, but yeah, it was the last name Kitchener. This one's one close to the junior high school. It's got a hole in the roof. I don't know if you guys can see it in the picture. The door is wide open on it as well. In the summertime, it's really overgrown with kudzu. Wintertime now, the kudzu's off of it. She's contacted me, Miss Kittrell, about the house. It was a house left to her and maybe a couple of other family members. She doesn't have much interest at all in the house, according to her. She's been paying the taxes herself, but she does no longer want to do that. She would like to sell it to the neighbors. And she tried to do that, I heard, but her brother wouldn't let her. So I think it's some air property that's kind of probably going to be tied up to some type of civil issue.
Is this the same house we talked about last meeting?
Yeah.
Are there any questions for Officer Arwood? All right, if there are no more questions for Officer Arwood at this point, Mayor suggests that public hearing portion be.
Do we have a motion to close the public hearing for tonight?
I have a question here. So, when are we gonna go back and address, after we close this hearing, we're gonna go back and address this?
We'll come back when we get to the portion of the agenda down, item 21.
Okay,
Vote on it.
okay,
We can break them out and table the ones that need to be tabled.
Okay.
Follow through the ones that need to be.
that's fine. I make a motion that, public hearing is closed.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. We now call to order the regular city council meeting for the city of LaFayette for January 28th. We will begin by asking for the approval of the minutes from January 14th. Motion and a second to approve the reading of the minutes. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. We have with us Chris Busby, who will be giving us CCDA annual report.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Hello, council.
Thank you.
How are y'all? Good, good. Get y'all these early. Okay, so first off, thank you for having me here, and really importantly, thank you for putting me in front of Travis. I don't like following him; he's a pretty dynamic guy, so he's a tough act to follow. So, as you know, every year in January, we at the Development Authority come and give you an annual report. And usually that entails one of us standing up here reading out a list of achievements, accomplishments, things that we've done, things that we want to do, and it usually lasts like 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to take credit for this. I had this idea that it would be much simpler and much neater for us to put together an annual report that we give out to our stakeholders, and that's what I've given all of you. It is a pretty thorough rundown of what we've done in 2018 and kind of some of our goals going forward to 2019. So tonight I'm going to be very brief and just tell you that 18 was a good year, 19 will be a better year. And one of the things that we're really working with specifically in LaFayette, increasing sales tax revenue through retail growth, identifying property, which we believe we have done to market industrial products. One of the things that I've really been wanting to do a lot of is fill vacant buildings that are here, vacant buildings that can be filled, that are still in good shape, that we can get people in here. So that's something that we're really working hard on. I think we're working on like 4 projects right now that are looking at existing buildings in LaFayette. Continuing to work in downtown revitalization, specifically with the theater and with some of the torn down properties over there. Mr. Howard's working with him to help with funding and potential tenants going forward. So really just piggybacking on what some of you guys are doing, you guys have kind of set the table for us to come in here and recruit people to the downtown, and that's what we want to continue to do. Some of the things that we're also doing is dealing with infrastructure. LaFayette is very fortunate, and they have a very good electrical, water, and sewer infrastructure. Some of the surrounding areas, specifically in rural areas north and west of the county, are not that lucky, whether it be with water and sewer or broadband internet. So those are some issues we're looking at. I think it's important, even though they might not be in the city limits, there's people that come into LaFayette and do their business here, so that we can provide them with the means to live well, then they're going to come live here and do their shopping here and be part of the community. So really just trying to provide people with the resources that they need to live a good life. One of the other things that we're going to start this next quarter is a marketing campaign that is designed to recruit residents to the county. And each city will have kind of their own little draw. LaFayette has a very unique draw. Obviously it's where I'm from, so I have an affinity for it. But touting our quality of life, the things that we offer, bringing in people who are not just living here and having, paying sales tax or property taxes, but people that are coming in and contributing to the community. So we've kind of experienced the brain drain over the years, so our goal is to bring in people who are going to contribute, who are going to make an impact. Housing is a big part of that. So we kind of dipped our toe in a little bit of everything. Obviously education plays a role in that, and some of the initiatives that we're undertaking with that. So you can read through that, and I know I just gave it to you guys. We just got these in. I want to answer any questions you may have tonight, but like I said, I want to keep it short and sweet and let you guys look over that. If you don't have any questions tonight, you guys all know how to contact me, and I'll be happy to follow up with any questions that you have.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smith. Can you follow that?
I can. That's a hard man to follow. First off, thank you guys for adding me to the agenda. Always good to be back home. Even though I'm in and out with the students, but it's good to be back home. So last time I was here about 4 years ago, I pitched you guys an idea about Unite, starting a new chapter here. So we started that chapter 4 years ago, and I think it's been extremely successful. So you guys should have the packet. I think the proposal in here. So I want to draw your attention to page 1 of some of our accomplishments and achievements that we've been able to, some of the goals we've been able to meet since we started this particular chapter. So if I turn your attention to the scholarships piece, we know right now in higher ed, since about 1990, higher ed, the inflation on tuition is about 400%. So we're looking at students graduating with a 4-year degree with over $150,000 in debt for 1 degree. Not including if you go to medical school, go to law school, or if you go to any professional school, or just to get a master's. So we're looking at the highest we've ever been in the country in student debt. which is kind of scary at the moment. But one of the things we kind of brag on and pride ourselves is allowing our students to get scholarships, full scholarships. So as you see, in 2016, we graduated 2 students when we really got started, and they had accumulated over $1 million in scholarships. 2017, we had a large year. We graduated 6 seniors, and they accumulated $3.7 million in scholarships. And 2018, last year, we had 1 student who completed $1.1 million in scholarships, and that brings us total like 5.8. So we've had, if you look at it, 9 seniors that have accumulated more scholarships than entire school districts. So that tells us that what we're doing is working. So one of the things that I really brag about is just not the scholarship, but we had every senior graduate our program with at least 1 scholarship to a university. So we don't have any students right now attending a particular university that's not on an academic scholarship. We also pride ourselves in community service. So one of the criteria of being in the program, you have to complete at least 50 hours of community service just to get in, and that service has to be to the city. So we've been able to accumulate over 2,500 hours of community service in just 3 years, and that service was to Rentham Daycare, that service to the nursing homes, both nursing homes, and then some of the educational camps that our schools, so JP Power and Eastside, we allow students to get that service. And then as you can see too, our seniors have been accepted to over 200 different universities worldwide. So that's just not, we're not counting like if a student is accepted to Southern Union and 3 students accepted to Southern Union, that doesn't count as 3, that's 1 university. So they've been accepted to over 200 different universities across the world. And currently we have students attending UAB, Southern University, Tuskegee, Auburn University, Miles College, Selma University, and Norfolk State University. So that's big to say, like, the city of LaFayette is producing our students not only just to stay in the state of Alabama, to actually go out and compete with other students worldwide. So another piece that we're really proud of, if I can turn your attention to page 2, is our academic partnership. So this is an actual copy and snippet from Auburn University's website, their official website. So if you go to it, we're listed as one of their official partners for the Center for Educational Outreach and Engagement under the direction of Dr. Nixon. So she's originally from California, graduated from Stanford University, but she's running some programs with us, and I'm going to talk later about the significance of the proposal in creating more partnerships with Auburn University. And then Specs is a local company that does our ACT prep. So they're partnered with Lee County Schools, Macon County Schools, and some of the other entities. They're out of Tallahassee, but they do our educational tutoring as it relates to the ACT and SAT prep. So we have some really great partnerships, and this is just some of the other ones, some of the local ones. One of our corporate sponsors, believe it or not, is Chick-fil-A. So we've been able to get some corporate funding from Chick-fil-A, as well as some other well-renowned businesses. But why I'm here today is to talk about an opportunity I want to present to the council. And this opportunity is, we're big on giving back. That's one of the things that Unite stands for, You and I Together Excel. And it isn't about the wisdom that you have, it's about the wisdom that you share with other people. So we've been successful over the last 3 years, but we're looking to grow our impact. Because right now, if you see, we're only working with a select number of students, but we've been able to grow our vision, and my board approved the strategic plan that our goal now is to broaden our horizons and educate people from K to post-20. That means anybody from kindergarten to adult learners. But one of the things we need is a space to do this. We've had a lot of other cities approach us about taking Unite from Lafayette and actually hosting it in other cities, but I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to say, like, hey, this is our program and we want to take advantage of it. However, I do report to a board, so there's no promise that if we can't create this partnership that Unite will be able to stay here. Unfortunately, we have a lot of interest, but what we're looking to do is provide educational services to the entire city of Lafayette. So this is not just Lafayette High School, Lafayette JP Powell. This is, if you're a citizen, we're looking to provide educational services to you. And if you can see, turn your attention to some of the examples. For example, for adult learners, financial literacy is important. So let's talk about credit, let's talk about budgeting, let's talk about investing in banking. So I'm a certified lecturer when it comes to Allied Bank. So I'm certified to teach banking and investing, credit, auto financing, and these different classes that we're saying we're willing to do these things free of charge to the city as a service. Also, home ownership. I have a lot of partners with local real estate. So we have a lot of people that are interested. If we want to recruit economic growth to the county, then we need people to buy houses, because we know what tax dollars do when people buy houses inside the city limits. However, we got to teach people how to buy houses and how to get financially prepared to do so. So that's what we're offering to do. Also, when it comes to job placement, one of the biggest things now is you just can't fill out an application, but you need a resume, you need interview skills. So these are some of the things I'm currently doing at Clemson University, and their local community where I provide services for interview skills and professional networking. And of course, we'll do the healthy living, right? Well-being is important to live. And so we're talking about healthy eating, teaching people how to grow. We have the community garden. So we want to partner with the people in the community garden, teach people how to grow their own gardens and provide incentives in class and for local farming. We really have to get back to our agricultural roots because a lot of the foods aren't healthy for us. But if you can grow, I remember it was a day when you ate what you grew in the garden. So that's where I want to get back to. So particularly we're interested in leasing, signing a long-term lease for the community building. That's on MLK, right where MLK leads is 324 First Street. The old community house. And right now, the building hasn't been in use for 15 years. So what I'm proposing is you guys lease us this building and allow us to provide the services. Now what my board has committed to is assisting in the renovation. So there'll be no charge to the city outside the lease for us to go in and make it how we want to make it. But what I will request is I really want this to be a community building. This is, even though Unite will be running this building and we'll be overseeing it, but I want the community to invest in this building. So what I'm going to charge, if you guys approve, I'm going to charge the city council member, each city council member to host an action day to where you invite your constituents to come in and help us renovate this building. We want all of the work to be done local. So Representative Ellis, one day if we need painting, I'll say, hey, we want your citizens and your community to come out and all we're going to do is paint. Or we'll put down floors. So we want everybody to know that this is your building and this is your opportunity. Specifically, as we're talking about a consolidation, I feel like with the consolidation, I'm not on either end of the spectrum, but LaFayette has the most to lose. So we have to show as a city that we're going to invest in our education right here in LaFayette. So we're one of the only cities that don't have a community center. So what we're offering here with Unite through our 501c3, which you guys asked me to go get, which I got. We're asking that you guys give us, lease us this building so that we can be the community center, specifically to run summer camps, specifically to do after-school tutoring. So we'll shift our focus specifically for our students. Instead of doing 50 hours community service outside of the building, we're going to shift that in the building. We have a current chapter. We just did a leadership summit in Montgomery, Alabama, and that chapter has already committed to manpower from students to come in on the weekends and actually do some of these workshops that we're talking to. Now, I briefly mentioned about the Auburn partnership. Well, one of the things that has hindered us from working with Auburn University is actually having a facility outside of a church. For religious reasons in state and public university, there's so much you can do with a university. However, Auburn is working with Wilcox County. You know how far Wilcox is from Auburn? This center. Right, so I'm telling them like, hey, we're right here 30 minutes from you guys in the same rural environment that you're doing with Wilcox. Why can't you bring that program to here? And what was that response? Hey, if you give us the opportunity, we'll provide some of that programming. Also, I think on the last note is grant dollars. Like with us being an outside entity and a 501c3, there are a lot of grant opportunities that we can get if we have a community center. That we can really grow some of these initiatives that we're talking about. So I feel like, at the end of the day, we're here to serve at the pleasure of the citizens of LaFayette. And I think we owe them to give them a community center. And as you can see, this is not going to be an ordinary community center. I've done my research around what community centers do, and what this would not be. It would not turn into a rental space. So this building will not be available for birthday parties. It will not be available for family reunions. It will not be available for socials. It's only going to be available for educational use. So if you want to come in and bring a speaker, we'll create an online application process, and we'll have, my board has created guidelines to what we will and what we won't entertain. So if you want to do a town hall, if you want to do a political debate, all of these things, free speech, will happen in this specific building, but it will not serve as an entertainment space in no form or fashion. We will not charge people except for a cleanup fee. So we would charge you a cleanup fee. If you clean up, it'll be returned. And a lot of our, if the only fees that we're looking to charge for the use of the building or for people to come, if we have a seminar and somebody charges us to come run the seminar. We're not looking to gain any financial, there are no employees with United Incorporated, all of us are volunteers. However, all of our money goes directly to our students, and paying for their ACT and paying for the college tour, which we're about to go on our 5th college tour in March. So every year, right now, we're raising about $15,000 to $20,000 a year just to take our students on an expense-paid college tour for a week. This year, we're going back up to DC. So they'll visit the Capitol, we'll visit the Smithsonian Museum, and then we'll come on back to Alabama and hope that some of these students get out of here so they can come back and do what I'm doing tenfold. So, any questions?
I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and it sounds very good to me. And I was looking at the old community house just recently and just thinking, what can we do with this building just been sitting here? So
You got something?
I'm on board.
Hey man, I appreciate everything you do for the county and the city of LaFayette. I mean, you went out, you made something out of yourself on Friday, you coming back and you sharing with your city that you grew up in. I like that.
Well, I attribute that to people that poured into me. You know, you guys, a lot of people gave me the opportunity to go off. But one of the things I'm big on is you never forget where you come from. So if you read anything about me, the first thing in my bio is going to say I'm from LaFayette, Alabama, and I'm not ashamed of that. So I want people, as we're telling our young students to go off and be successful, we got to add on to that, but come back and give back. And that's the most important thing. Like, yeah, go off and be successful, but what are you doing for the city? So this is my heart. And again, I never want to take Unite from the city of LaFayette, but as a business, I'm accountable to my board, you know, and one of the things that we've been struggling with specifically is out of the $10,000 that we're raising, $8,000 is coming from out-of-state funding, and that says a lot, out-of-city funding. So, you know, I really want to take this opportunity to invest, hoping that the citizens can invest back into our students, because if you don't have an education, you're not going far.
And I would like to also input that we also have some young folks from Auburn that's a member of Unite that travel from Auburn.
Yeah. So currently, right now, we have one of our students from Valley is here, and then we have a student from Auburn. So I want LaFayette to be the hub. We're expanding. It's not a LaFayette High thing anymore. It's a Chambers County, Lee County. Hopefully we can expand, but I hope that it is housed in LaFayette. That's my goal, to keep it in LaFayette.
My only statement would be, I don't want to speak for everybody, I think we'll all be on board and do everything that we can. I think you need to be as specific as you can with the lease agreement, number of years, what you would be expecting, and let us take a look at how the document and everything we need to be drawn in.
Okay.
Kind of what you're specifically looking for. Not just the lease, how long, and
yeah, when I say long-term lease, my board made it clear that when I spoke, we're not speaking of anything less than 25 years.
I mean, whatever specifics
Yeah.
that you would need, that the wording would have to come from us to make the document.
Can I ask you a question? What are you currently doing with the buildings that you lease?
The building.
What do those leases look like?
And the release quality of.
So who do you lease to, and what do they charge? What do they pay for? What do you pay for?
It was on the square footage.
Yeah, the only one we have is
There's one.
the medical clinic that I'm aware of that we actually rent. And it's under, 5 year plus one, so it's not quite that long term, and I don't remember, it's by the foot, I can't tell you exact dollar amount.
Attorney Tucker, can't we, do like we did with Mount Zion Church? We leased the property over there. I know the church is different from the building, but I think it's
About the community.
yeah, it's like $1 a year for 10 years or something like that.
We might can do something like that, but because of the improvements are much more significant in nature than the ones that were with Mount Zion, the contract's gonna have to be much more specific. Construction guidelines, qualifications, inspections, and things will need to be handled. And there's more options than just a community house, because when you look at what needs to be done, whether you got compliance issues or code issues or something, if they get in the building and decide, that's gonna be cost prohibitive for us to make this compliant with what it needs to be, we got other space that we may can do the same type of thing.
What's the condition of community house now? It's up to compliance. We just had problems with the honeybees, right?
I'm sure it had to be inspected, and make sure nothing as far as sprinkler, fire, you had to have fire marshal and all them inspect and do all that stuff too. So it's just tonight, just discussion and.
Is it ADA compliant?
all they gotta be looked at, but
I
that's,
can't imagine that.
tonight is just, pretty much just putting it out there, talking, we'll get together, maybe have a work session, once we get more information, and
Well, that's why I'm looking, to get that building, to make it ADA compliant, we gotta spend X number of dollars, and that's too much. We do have other space we might can move off into, especially with new city hall, with plenty of space. You know, if we fix it up room by room by room,
But when will the new city hall be ready?
maybe as quick as the community house, I don't know.
So if the new city hall is equivalent for them to have, then it would be big enough for them to have a room, whatever they need, right? So if that community house don't work, how about the new city hall?
Well, so I'm not opposed to any space. However, I think we do have specifications for specifically the use. What we're trying to offer would need a separate space, if that makes sense.
To move it in and out.
Yeah.
Swaps and everything that we might have. Look, take a look at the property.
Well, I've already.
I'm saying though in regards to, let's see what we can come up with. Let's work toward a come and go.
Mhm. So what time frame are you looking? Because, you know, we're ready for action.
Well, I think that's gonna depend on your construction schedule and requirements. So if you've already looked at that building, so I think I need to know exactly what modifications you think you want to do or need to be done.
They're all cosmetic, so outside of getting around. So we will do the ADA, bring it up to code. I think they're pretty much cosmetic things. So, but I do want to make a statement because I'm not necessarily looking to pay in return for service, if that makes sense. So I think that's kind of absurd for us to pay for a building in return of, then we will have to in turn charge the citizens, which would be a no-win for us. But what we are proposing is if there are things cosmetically that need to be changed, that we would want changed, and we would be willing to take on that cost. But as far as like main structure issues, we're not looking to put $10,000 into a building that then we're going to turn around and do service. I don't think that'd be fair.
We need to look at the building ourselves and see what we need to get done to the building. And if you've already looked at it from the outside, we can get George to go on the inside and see, don't you think, what we need to do?
Yeah, but I really think it's important when George does it, he also knows exactly what you're intending on doing. And then George can look at it with that in mind and go, yeah, but we need to do this, you need to do that, we need to do this, you need to do that.
Well, we just need to let him get in touch with George.
Yeah.
But as far as we're concerned, we don't have a problem, is that correct?
Right.
So, maybe we need to take a vote on that tonight, or how do we need to do that? Because I certainly don't want to lose this chapter here.
I would suggest, I mean, when vote or anything like that, I would just think that we could, if you would get with George in regards to the specifics that you want, and,
When you mean specifics that I want,
well, I guess a lot of it, I don't know all the answers. Let's just say that you want to have a certain number that may utilize the building. What is your capacity for the building and things like that? I'm just saying that you and George, based on what you have, that we can make it meet all the codes that need to be met, that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And if we can meet all the codes and assist you with volunteering to help, we'll do anything we can.
too, like I said too, because you're gonna have to get the
If
fire marshal, gonna have to come down and inspect and make sure all that stuff is where it needs to be, the wiring, and that building has been vacant for so long.
yeah.
And I would think that would really help that process is if you had like a floor plan and you could present to George and said, yeah, I plan on using this for a meeting room, we plan on doing this on the wall, it sure would be nice if this wall wasn't there, you know, or that kind of thing, just basically have a plan of what you intend to do on the inside cosmetically. And then go ahead and get your ADA issues, whether your compliance is if it is in compliance or not. That to me is the biggest issue, is the ADA compliance.
But I don't think George needs me to become ADA compliant. I think that's why I'm losing.
George needs to know what you're gonna do with what parts.
When I say cosmetically, I'm saying if we need to put down more floors. I'm not saying like, let's knock down the wall.
You just wanna go in there and use the building.
Right. So I think from what I would ask of the city today, if we could just move forward with, say, the lease pending X, Y, and Z, because we still have to sign the lease, and there still has to be specifics in the lease. I have people to report to, so I don't want to, and I'm in South Carolina too, working on my dissertation, so my time is extremely limited with coming to Alabama, so I don't want to have to make a couple trips back and forth, if that makes sense.
Can we get George to look at the building, and like Mike said, get the state fire marshal down here to make sure that it's in compliance, and if it's in compliance, then we don't have a problem, right? We can go forward.
We get everything ready and
Right.
have it for the next council meeting.
Right.
I mean,
And
I think
then
that's
we
enough
get in
time,
touch
that
with
2
them.
weeks for us to
Right, right.
get all the paperwork, look at everything, and come up with what type of lease or whatever we wanna do.
We could move forward without you having to be present, if that's fine. It could be phone calls, conversations back and forth,
Okay.
and work toward a final draft that would be fine with the city, and would be fine with United.
Sounds good.
So we're all on board.
We're all on board.
Okay, awesome.
It's just a matter of,
So you guys are gonna reach out to George, or should I reach, you guys reach out to George?
We'll make sure, Louis will make sure, we get to George.
All right, well, thank you guys so much. We look forward to this opportunity of working, with you guys, and don't forget to.
yeah.
That's what I call.
We'll get Louis to give you a call.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
surplus property discussion. We have a list. They come up with a list of surplus property, for the review, with everything that we've covered tonight. If you take a look at that, and if you have any questions or concerns, or, come up with a timetable. Lewis has been a little tied up with election that's about to come up and everything. If we get to, February 12th, then that'll allow you a little more time to come up with some dates when we might want to move forward with the sale of the property. I'm only asking.
Maybe that second council meeting in February, that'll be after the election, will there be no time, or
Just
on the first council meeting in March?
Probably the first one in March.
somewhere along there.
Yeah.
So is that fine with everybody to kind of table it to the then?
Yes.
Okay? And then they had a notice of a claim.
Yes, I had a chance to review the claim, and the facts as presented in the claim, I couldn't, come up with a legal basis that the city might be liable for what happened in this instance. She reports that she hit a brick or a large piece of concrete that was in the roadway. This is not the same situation that we've been having. There's nothing to support liability to the city, for this object that was in the roadway. So my recommendation to this one, it's below the, it's also, the best I can tell, the claim is below the deductible for the insurance. So it is, my recommendation to this claim be denied.
I make a motion to deny that claim.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to deny the claim. The claim was made by Ms. Todd. All in favor of denying the claim? Say aye. All opposed? Thank you, Mr. Attorney. We've had a long, meeting tonight. We just start with any council member has any question or concern, or anything that they'd like to bring up.
I don't have anything to do.
Don't have anything. Do you know how much, our bills are?
Yes, Mayor, we have claims at the amount of $283,574.13.
I make a motion that we pay our bill.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to pay the bills. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Who's the second?
Councilmember Ellis, second. You got both of them. Now we'll go back to where we, started with the public hearing portion. Mr. Attorney, can I ask a question and you lead me through this? We have, a request, and I want to use the number here, y'all. We have a request for an extension on number 4.
And 5.
What is what?
Oh, that, you're right, I'm sorry.
On number 4, we have a request to table 9 and 10 to see if there's some action that would be taken. And then we have some that have not done any action whatsoever. I was just trying to group them instead of doing every one by one.
We have one that's almost completed
Right.
destruction.
That's correct. So could we take number 4 with a request for an extension?
So moved.
What I'm saying is,
The way we did it
there
before,
would have to be a motion for a specific number of days.
well, the way I did, we did it before was, is that we made a motion to adopt the resolution as numbered, and then it was seconded, and then the same person that made that motion then moved to table it for a period of time,
Gotcha.
90 days, and that way Lewis gets it back on the agenda 90 days, and we get to review it. That's the way we did it before, and I think that's gonna be a good way for us to not let these things get lost, like, Councilman Thomas brought up earlier.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so on number 4, we have,
That's resolution number,
that's what I'm saying,
excuse me,
is the resolution,
2019-01-28-02.
okay? Are we clear on the motion?
yeah, the motion was to adopt 2019-01-28-02, and that was made by Ms. Williams. And during the discussion period, if somebody makes a motion to table it, then it'll get tabled.
No, I'm making a motion that we, table it for 90 days to give her, the time that she needs financially, to do the roof. Because the others that we tabled for 60 days, they had to get in touch with other relatives. That was their hardship. This lady has a financial hardship that she's asking us, for 90 days, to allow her 90 days to do what she needs to do.
So a motion to table this for 90 days,
Correct.
have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
So number 4 has been disposed of. Now we have parcels 9 and 10, which are a similar situation. Mr. Moore has requested a period of time, I believe we said 60 or 90 days, it's up to y'all, to give him an opportunity to secure the structures and see, and get Officer Arnett to inspect it and see if he brings it up to where it's satisfactory.
So moved. Resolution number.
It's 07-08, 2019-01-2807, 2019-01-2808.
That's number 9 and 10.
9 and 10.
And Ms. Williams is out for 60 or 90 days.
90.
Your second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
90 days, huh?
90.
And we have, number 11,
Well, we got one more.
I'm sorry,
Well, I don't know, we got sued.
She said it would be torn down next week.
Yeah, so we need to table that and so we can check, make sure it happens.
Oh, okay.
That's number
Number
7.
7.
Geneva Webb, her name's Sue.
okay. We have
You
a
need a
motion,
motion for that? So moved,
90 days.
90 days.
the motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And we need to pull out number 11. I don't think we even need to table
We
it.
don't have to take it action right now on that one, do we?
No, but I'm trying to make sure we left it out.
That's what I'm saying.
We
We
did.
wanna,
We said loaded into the dumpster.
That's Bobby Lee Williams, that's 09, so I'm gonna leave that out. All right, Lewis, I'm gonna try and read these off, and you wanna make sure I'm correct, you wanna do it.
I'll check it off if you read it.
All right, we have resolution number 2019-01-2801, that's Blanton. We have resolution number 2019-01-2803, Hill. We have 2019-01-2804, Nanny Mae Holiday. Skip Sue. Resolution 2019-01-2806, Hill/Howell.
What about 05?
05 is
gonna be,
Geneva River.
Geneva,
Sue.
99.
Next to Morris. Then we have, yeah, 2019-01-2810, Washington Kittrell. I believe that's all of them, am I right, Liz?
That's what I have.
All right, and,
103, 04, 06, and 10.
if the state council is so inclined, they can handle those as a group to adopt those resolutions as I read them all.
Have a motion and a second to adopt the resolutions that were just stated. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That takes care of each one of those partials.
And let me say one other thing. You know, you said Blanton had started some work, so, you know, we don't have to rush out there and tear it down. If he tears it down and removes it before the city does anything, then essentially the city doesn't have anything to do, so. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
You just get the grass or the weed.
Yeah, he just needs to, you know, if he takes care of it, then before we get a chance to get to it. then
We just
we're-
made that, we're gonna move forward as we can on the last group that was identified. We have, 4, cemetery deeds, 1503, 04, 05, and 06 to convey.
So moved.
All in favor of conveying the cemetery deeds just mentioned, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Meeting stands adjourned.